But like I said, we're looking at logging libraries, and these are purely my thoughts, based upon what I have had to write code for, and today we're looking at MultiLog. The search for the ultimate, put that in quotes, logging library continues. Today we're looking at MultiLog. This particular one here you can get through the online package manager, and I'm just going to sort them here by installed, and it will be a case of selecting that one, putting a tick mark inside it and then installing. Once that is done, you can pretty much good as use it, and we've got a little tiny test program here, and then we'll go into the project inspector, and I added in the MultiLog Laz package, and I'm able to then use it like any other library within the Lazarus FPC world. As far as the documentation is concerned, as a user, I'm pointed to this page here, and then and it does have a little bit of sample code at the bottom. There is also a log viewer that you can also use with the library. And as far as downloading is concerned, you can get it from GitHub, which will bring you to here. And then the README file is here. Doesn't say much at all, but there is a demo program as well that you can use, the simple viewer, and so on. Looking here, the age of the library, it would appear to be oldish. The newest or the updated files are from about 3 years ago. Otherwise, we're looking at 10 or 18/19 years ago. So there was a question I did see on the Lazarus forums asking about whether this project was still alive. I'm just going to say I don't know, but does it work? Well, the answer to that question is very easy. Yes, it does. For what the part that I am looking at, it does work. So let's go and have a look then at the program. So I guess the main thing, or the main way of interacting with the logger is, or the multi-log, is through the logger. That's a global variable, and if we go to the class here, you can see that you've got, so we're looking at the public section here, you've got active classes and default classes. I'm just going to say they can be a little bit confusing, because look, the documentation is a bit sparse, shall we say. You've got a whole bunch of send functions here, and they work for things like, well, you can pass across a single string, you can pass across a bunch of arguments, you can pass across an integer, and so on. All these overloaded methods here. You can send a warning message, an error message. Indentation is possible by entering and exiting. And then there are things like a log stack and so on, which I'm not going to go into. But suffice to say that when a message is sent to the logger, it needs somewhere to send it to, and it does this through the idea of channels. So here, when the channel is added, when the channel is added, in this case here we're looking at a file channel, and it does also mean that you could then implement or create your own channel to be used with the logger if you find that things are missing. And this will be critical, when we have a look at the library or component in action. So what we're looking at here is what we would use out of the box, and what we will do here is we're just going to now build this program, go to our command prompt here, and we'll make that a bit bigger hopefully. Run, hang on, wrong folder. So out of the box, this is what we're seeing, and what are these messages that we're writing out. So here we are, I'm just going to try and get these screens, sort of side by side. So in the first case here, this is just a call to send. This is a call to send error. We are entering a method here. We are sending a method here. We are now doing a warning message here. We are now entering bar, just another send, exiting, and that's about it. So if we were to compare this to our requirements, by the way, so while you can go to screen, you'd need the logger for that. So I'm going to put that down as a lowercase yes. Log to file, well that's a definite. Levels. I'm going to say, as far as a message type is concerned, that's a yes. Well, actually, no, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to put a yes there. But at the moment, you don't see that, and the reason why we don't see that yet is because of when I'm using the file channel, the default options do not include the prefix option here. And for that to work, I have to, basically add a channel, which is the file channel, with these options here, which includes the show prefix. So if I were to now build this and now run it, you can see here that it does output the type of message that is being output here. The interesting thing here is, the thing for interesting for me is that it makes it part of the message as opposed to I should say the message text rather than the message. Ideally, I would like to be able to have it in a single column so I don't have to read across the screen to work out what I'm looking at. I could use search tools like grep if I'm looking for something in particular, but the layout is a little tiny bit wonky. This is only my opinion. I'm not saying it's bad. This is purely my opinion. The way it indicates the entry into a function or a method and exiting, I like that part of it. So I do have that other information. So we can go up here and we'll actually filtering based on level. I'm going to say not really, and the reason why I'm going to put here a not really or lowercase n is because while it's possible to do it through the use of what they call active classes and default classes, this is an idea which is part of this particular library here. And when you do a call to something like send, or actually let's just do this one here, it will check whether or not the type of message or the type of class being the type of debug class matches the active classes, and if it doesn't, then it will exit. So in which case then it makes it a bit redundant or odd to have to say, hey, I'm sending a message or sending an error, and it's a set error class, and if I don't have errors defined, well then that won't get output. it's just a bit of a kludge. So what we're going to do now is with that one, and just to illustrate that, what we can do now is I'll take out that error there. I'm going to put in that one. I think you'll put that one in for the moment, and we can build and run the program again. So now here, well actually here I've taken out I've removed that error. Why don't we take out that line there, and we'll just run it again, build, and here we go. So, so what did we get here? This is an error message. This is also an error message. Info, this is an error message. Even though I said it was something, even though the class may have indicated something else. So, and that you can see that's why I put a question mark on there, just to see what it's going to be doing. So the only way then that you would be able to, let's say, do what I'm going to call proper filtering, or have, you have proper sort of filtering here, would be to, you'd have to write our own file, write another file channel, and which does incorporate, some sort of filtering. And how that would be achieved then is because when we look at how SendStream gets implemented, putting aside these parts, the classes and the active classes, the message gets created based on the message type and the text, etc. And it then calls a dispatch function. Now this dispatch function then iterates through each channel and then delivers the message. So when the message is being delivered, now let's see whether we can find the file channels over here. When the file channel, delivers the message, it basically knows, or is passed information about the type of message, and that information could then be used to filter in or out the writing of a particular bit of text. So if we were to now, by the way, when after this line here, active class and default classes are both have 0 in it, and they're always going to match, so everything would get output. So if I were to now take the set of 0 to 31, and I can then remove the error value from it, and now we can build this. We can run it again, and even though I had taken out that error there, this message here was still output, and which is a little bit odd, and therefore would necessitate the creation of another channel class to do that sort of filtering. So what we can say here is I'm going to make that a yes with a star, and we can explain that star later. Does it do timestamps? Well, the answer is a definite yes there. Does it do indentation? Yes, it does. Now, can I get any information about the thread? That's a no, because I couldn't find anything here. Now, when we're logging to files, if we are logging to files, then the problem can become how large do these files get, and that depends upon how much information gets written out to our log files. This one here then, when you look at the implementation of the file channel or the logger here, there you can see how it just appends to a file, it does a write line, it does a close file, it writes out to the, I'm trying to find where the file handle we've got a file name here, and the file name, as far as I'm aware here, doesn't really change. So you don't have that so if you're, let's say, writing out, let's say, files which are, let's say potentially 100 meg each per day, you would rather that file to be, have a new file being created each day or each week or something, just while you wanted to debug it. So in this case here, this will be a no. So how does this particular logging library stack up? Well, what I can say is if we were to look at the information as presented here, or on this page here, we could say the documentation is it could be better. Am I blaming the authors for not providing more? No. Does it do it? It is definitely better than the Lazlogger. I would. My only question mark, sort of comes in the use of how stuff gets written to file and the dispatch function, especially when you are getting a truckload of messages. But again, that's it probably met the needs of the applications in which it was used. So we can anything where where this component or library might be lacking could be fixed by writing a channel. And of course, with more documentation, it will be a lot better. So we're getting much closer to our dream logging one. I would probably give this let's say a 7 out of 10 perhaps. It is not bad, but the quest continues. And until next time, happy coding, and I'll see you then. Bye.